Hi, my name is Maddie, also known as That's What Skeen Said on here and on Instagram, and today I am showing you everything I made in 2023. So, this year was the second full year I've been knitting, the first full year I've been knitting. So I got a lot done this year. I made a lot of sweaters, a lot of cardigans, I crocheted a few things, and yeah, I'm going to be showing you all of that today. And then at the very end, I'm going to hop back on and do my 2024 ins and outs of the year. I'm kind of treating that as like a alternative to doing a New Year's resolution. We'll get to that at the end, but first, let me just say I have filmed this thrice at this point, and I am losing my mind a tiny bit, but it's fine. This is it. I feel like third time's the charm. Ivy is here, my cat Ivy. So if you hear any cat-like noises, it is in fact a cat. Good talk. All right, let's get into the knits. My first piece of 2023 was this mohair sweater. It's all over drop stitch. I hope that focuses. So it's an all over drop stitch mohair sweater. I'm gonna put it on real quick. Okay, so this is the first sweater I made. And as I was saying, it's all over drop stitch, made out of some vintage mohair that my mom found for me. She thrifted it for me. She's the best. And I really love the colors of this mohair. Yeah, it's really cute. One thing I don't love about this sweater is I feel like the neck is kind of a lot. I was thinking about maybe sewing it down so it'd be a little bit more understated. Am I really blown out now? Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, so I was thinking about maybe sewing it down so the neck would be a little bit less intense. But it's really warm overall. I do really like this knit. It was my first time doing drop stitch and my first time working with mohair. It was a really good learning experience, and I actually had a lot of fun with this. So yeah, this is my first. Okay, I'm doing this loosely chronologically. So this isn't exactly everything I made in the exact order, but it's as close as I'm willing to figure out in this moment after having done this thrice. So my next knit of 2023 was a Spring Fling cardigan by Kara Ing. This is the cardigan on my first ever test knit, and it's this little yellow cardigan. It's a raglan construction, and it's got this all over lace ruffle detail that you add at the end. So this was my first test knit, and my first raglan, and my first cardigan. So this was a lot of firsts here. And overall, do I wear this? No. Am I happy I made it? Yes-ish. I learned a lot while making this piece, obviously. It's knit in Wool and the Gang Feeling Good, held double, which was obscenely expensive. Won't be doing that ever again in my life. But I don't love the way this fits on me. I feel like the shoulder, the neckline, isn't really doing me any favors at all. I mean, it just doesn't fit me very well. If it fit me better, like if the collar had a little bit more construction to it, or structure, or whatever I'm meaning to say, I think I would wear this more. But yeah, it's just the nature of the garment. Not my favorite piece I've ever made, not my least favorite piece, so real middle of the road here. Next up, I believe, yes, is this sweater vest I made. It says ISO, in search of MRS degree, Mrs. degree. So this was actually the piece I made for my senior capstone project. If you don't go to a university in America, a capstone is essentially something you do in the last few quarters of your bachelor's degree that is supposed to accumulate all of the knowledge you've gained, whatever. So my capstone was in a class about fashion and literature. I'm an English major. So fashion and literature, and then my subtopic was fiber arts as a resistance to patriarchal standards. I specifically talked a lot about embroidered samplers. I made this piece as a part of my capstone. It was kind of the I used it to sort of help prove my thesis of my essay. So this was made in reference to an experience I had at my university where I went to career counseling with a licensed therapist, and I was telling him about my hobbies and stuff just to see if he could help me figure out a career path that would align with those hobbies and interests. And I told him, you know, I like knitting, I like baking, and he looked at me and said, "Have you ever considered getting an MRS degree?" Yeah. So, in case you don't really understand what he was saying there, he was telling me to drop out and get married and be a housewife instead of pursuing higher education, which was really not cute, not a cute thing to say. So yeah, this was a piece I made in reference to that. I used Sally Dar Griffin's Tad Me Sweater Vest pattern, and I spent so long on the text in Stitch Fiddle, specifically the misses. I really wanted the misses to be like cutesy cursive, so that took forever. But overall, I'm really proud of this piece. I'm not going to put it on because it's honestly a bitch to get on. The neckline is really, really small. This isn't like, it wasn't really a functional piece. I'll insert a picture. But it was more just meant to be a statement and help me prove my own thesis. I mean, my professor did nominate me for an award for that essay. Not to brag, but what can I say? So that was a really fun project that I enjoyed a lot. And then right after that, we get into what I call the series of unfortunate events, wherein I had, I think, 3 like hardcore fails in a row, and then had a reckoning with myself over the summer, pivoted. We'll get there. So basically, I did another test knit for Sally Dar Griffin of her Even Cowgirls Get the Blues sweater vest. So this does not fit me in the slightest, and that is because I misread the needle size. That is a thing I did. So I went up, I think, 3 needle sizes on this, and I didn't even notice until I seamed it all together. And then I looked at it, and I was like, something's off there. I put it on, and I realized then that it was entirely too big. Went back to the pattern, saw the needle size, looked at the needles I still had on my cord, and cried. So, yeah, this took a very long time, specifically the cowboy boot in the back, which I still think this cowboy boot is sick. My intarsia skills weren't fantastic at this point. They still aren't, but there is some pulling on the letters from when I was switching colors and stuff. But yeah, so I did manage to get some good pictures for the test knit in this. I'll insert. But yeah, this was a real bummer. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this, specifically to double check what the pattern says, and also maybe, I don't know, make a gauge swatch. What a concept, I know. I think every knitter has one of these moments in their knitting career, and it just permanently alters their brain chemistry, because I will never be the same. After that humongous fail, I had another flop, and when I say these things, I'm not trying to shade designers or whoever. Every person, every body is different, so not every pattern is going to work for every single person and every single body type. And that's just a fact of life. Yeah, I'm not trying to be shady or anything. It's just these patterns didn't work for me specifically. They might work for somebody else. That's totally awesome. So this was another test knit I did for Kara. This is the Matilda cardigan. It is probably my least favorite thing I have ever made. So we'll start off with the positives, because I'm also not trying to be negative about this. I genuinely learned a lot from each piece I made. Even if I don't consider it to be a win, I still learned a ton, and that's what really matters at the end of the day. We'll start with the positives. I love this color. This was a Wool in the Gang collab with Hope McClay in Crazy Sexy Wool. So I really love this color. Things I don't really love, it does not fit me. This is the smallest size, and it is actively falling off my shoulders. There was no shaping whatsoever in the shoulders. The front shaping doesn't really do anything, and my least favorite part is the sleeves. I hate this, how it goes from like the drop shoulder to like big. I don't like how that looks at all. And some people really do, and that's great. I'm not here to like yuck anybody's yum, but for me, I don't like how that looks. And I don't like how droppy the drop shoulder is. And this yarn just has no structure to it at all, which certainly does not help. And it's also just roving. Hi, Editing Maddie here. Mom and Dad, that means the yarn is unspun. So it's pilling like crazy, which is insane considering I put this on my body 2 times. Well, I guess 3, 4, if you count the filming I did. Anyway, point being, it has not been on me very often at all. And it looks like shit. So that's really frustrating. Another one I'm not too happy with. I really was not feeling great about my skills as a knitter, and I was feeling very frustrated and in a rut. So I decided to do some accessories and some crocheting. I originally started by learning crochet, and then I transitioned into knitting. So I went back to crochet for a little bit just to like feel better creatively, and then I went back to knitting. So yeah, that's a little preface, but first things first, I made Bubble Bag by The Unraveler. I actually made 2 of these. I made one in a cute little sage green for my best friend. I sewed a lining into hers, but I have not sewn a lining into mine yet, so it doesn't get as much use as I would like, because when you put literally anything in this, here's my phone, it just sags. And that's also partly because I used some just really cheap acrylic that I had laying around. So if I were to make this again, I would do better yarn and sew in a lining. But yeah, overall, I think it's really cute. I really had fun with this pattern. It's bubble stitch all over, which was really fun to learn, and I thought the pattern was great. And it's a really good size. A cute little bag. So yeah, this was pretty good. Next, I crocheted a little hair bow. That's right, I did this last year, so ahead of the trend, you can say it, we were all thinking it. This is just a cute little hair bow that I made out of some thrifted mohair. I think it's pretty cute. It's a little big, but it's fun. And when I want to wear it, I just attach a bobby pin to the back, like I slide in a bobby pin, and then I pop it on my head. Not like that. It's cute. It was fun. It took me like an hour to make that. So I also, during this time, crocheted a bunch of these little baskets. They're just little cotton baskets. I like these a lot. I use them for a lot of things. This one has like my tights in it in my closet. Really cute, really easy, really fun. I was on a mission to use up a lot of scraps this summer because I had accumulated a lot of yarn that I don't love to knit with, like acrylic and cotton. So I was working on using up a lot of that. I wish they were a little bit sturdier. They're kind of floppy, but for what I use them for, it's fine, and it was fun. Okay, wait. Okay, this is so random, but this is the thing I use the most out of everything I made last year, and it's this giant flower pillow. Crocheted this giant flower pillow out of some, don't look at that side, look at this side, out of some velour velvety yarn I had from back when I was crocheting amigurumi. And so this is just a giant pillow. We use this to block my cat out of my room at night because she attacks me in my sleep. She attacks me in my sleep. Ivy, no. Oh my god. Ivy, don't. Think about it, Bean. Please don't. Help me. Help me. You get the spray bottle.
Where is it?
I don't know. We don't need to get into it. It's fine. But that's what this gets used for every single night. And it's been great. It's held up great. Yeah. I talked briefly about my cat, Ivy, last video, but she had a very traumatic backstory before I adopted her. It's not her fault, okay? It's not her fault. She is my little angel baby, but she's also a monster, so. This is where things start looking up knitting-wise. Okay, so we're at July at this point. And this is my Ophelia top that I test knit. Okay, here's the top on. I freaking love this top. I made this out of a bunch of cotton scraps I had laying around, and I just went crazy with the colors. I added a little I-cord bow. This was so fun for the summer. I wore this to go see the Eras tour with my mom, which was the best day ever. So I just have like such good memories in this top of sweating my ass off, waiting to get into the stadium, and having a great time with my mom. So I love this top. I'll love it forever. If I make it again, which I'm planning on making one again this summer, and probably a solid color this time, I'm going to go down a size because the cotton does stretch quite a bit. I love this top, and that was such a fun test group to be a part of. Jasmine was so involved and so helpful and so kind, and everybody was so supportive. So this was a really fun, just creative, silly, goofy piece that I love, and it hangs up in my closet as a little piece of decor, and I love it so much. Oh my god, I'm stuck. Okay. So things got a little bit crazy around this time because I started doing multiple projects at a time. Up until this point, I had been a semi-monogamous knitter. Then I just really went insane and started doing everything all at once. This isn't going to be an exact timeline. There's a lot of overlap from this point on. In August, I did another test knit for Kara, and this is the Lovesick cardigan. This is my favorite one of her patterns that I've made by far. I wore this a shit ton in the fall. It's just the perfect fall color. I need to fix this. I tried to add some elastic to give neckline a little bit more shape, but I made it too tight, so I need to go back through because it's like pulling. All over bobble, raglan construction, slight balloon sleeve. I will give you a spin for this one because it's just perfect lengthwise. Whoa, why did that make me so dizzy? I haven't drank any water today. That's not good. Okay, this was a fun knit. I really liked knitting bobbles for the first time. It was nice and chunky, but it doesn't look too chunky, which I appreciate. And yeah, I wore this a ton this fall, and it's holding up great. There's virtually no pilling. Yeah, I was really happy with this one. Next up is my Reality Check cardigan by Kara. I made this after the Lovesick cardigan, towards the end of the summer. And this, I really love the pattern on this, the checkered look that it has. But this was, pardon my French, an absolute bitch to knit, truly. One of the least fun things I've ever knit in my life. And that is because the pattern was incorrect. The charts in the pattern for the size I was trying to make were wrong. And that's just a fact. It was incredibly frustrating when things were not lining up because this pattern relies so heavily on everything lining up perfectly that if the chart is wrong, the whole thing's going to be wrong. And so I was following the chart like it has to be a me problem. I restarted it I think 4 times, and then I finally looked at a different chart, realized what was wrong with the original chart I was doing, decided to just knit the size up that had the correct chart. I emailed Kara about the problem. I don't know if she's fixed it. So I finished it out of spite, and it was not fun. And every time I put it on, I always remembered that the cuffs are not even. And at this point, when I was knitting these, I was so done. I didn't even care. But I do want to go back and fix these because I do actually wear this cardigan quite a bit. It's a little bit big, obviously, because I had to size up. But I think it's cute, and I got these really plush little checkerboard buttons for this to match the checkerboard pattern. And I love these buttons, and I love them with this cardigan. This was not fun, but it's done and it's cute, and I'll give you a spin. So around that time, I was also crocheting a giant granny square blanket. It's very big. So this took me from summer to probably like October to finish, but I was just working on it really infrequently whenever we were watching movies or something. I ended up really liking how this turned out. It was just supposed to be a scrap project, but I think the colors work really well together, and it's surprisingly warm for how airy it is. Okay, so this is where, in my opinion, things get really good because I took all of the things I learned throughout the year. This is when I really started implementing them and started narrowing down what I like in a design, what I like in a yarn, my skills. I think things really started to come together here. First up, is my weekending, the name will be here. The Weekending Bomber. So this was another test knit I did for Abby. I'm really proud of this one. It's all over waffle knit with a double knit button band, folded collar, slight puff sleeves. I'm really proud of this one. It's not my favorite fit-wise. I don't love drop shoulder and I don't love how this part of that looks. On this one I'm willing to overlook it just because I love the color I chose and I love the waffle knit. It took forever. This took me a solid month. I wear this one a lot and it's super warm, really cute. The pattern was great. Oh, this was a fun one. Next, I test knit the poly cardigan for the Unraveler. This is, I think, maybe my favorite thing I made last year. I just love how this turned out. This is an all over mohair cable knit cardigan. This was my first time doing cables and it's this cute little honeycomb cable pattern which I really like. I knit this up in Take Care Mohair by Wool and the Gang. And I just love this. It was such a fun test knit. Jess was really great and super helpful. I finished this so fast. I think this only took me a couple weeks because I was so into the cabling. I still need to sew buttons on this. I got buttons for it that are like a tonal purple to match. I just need to sew them on. So, to be continued there. Okay, this one's hard to get on. Oh my god. This is the Astoria sweater by Kara Ing. This was my second foray into cables. Overall, I do really like this one. The neckline is super tight. So I used Barico Ultra Wool, but I had to hold it double to meet gauge. So I used, I think, like honest to God, 15 skeins for this sweater. Like this cropped sweater. Like 15 skeins of yarn. So this was another one that was fucking expensive. So I wouldn't make it again for that reason, but I do really like how it turned out. The cable pattern is so cute. And it was a fun knit, like it's a fun cable pattern to do because it's really simple. It looks a lot harder than it is, which I appreciate in a cabled sweater. I really like this one. Okay, we are nearing the end here. This is my Aviva wrap sweater. This was a test knit for Jamie Creates. And I am really happy with how this one turned out as well. Basically all over stockinette with just a little bit of ribbing. And you do the wrap by increasing and decreasing. And then you connect it at the bottom here. So this is all like actually unconnected. But it stays like this for the most part, which is really nice. Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. This was a really fun test knit. And this is made with Wool and the Gang Feeling Good. Just single, like one strand, which is much more cost effective. But I will say this is a little bit more precious, especially this bottom part, because you sew an elastic to the bottom hem to keep its shape. So it is a little bit, I find myself being more careful with this one, but I do wear it quite a bit. Is this lighting really gonna do me like this again? Really proud of this one. Okay, we are down to the final few knits of 2023. This is my prep school pullover, which is a pattern by Starcross Knits. I love this sweater. I talked about it last episode, so I won't go in too much detail here, but this is another one of my favorites of the year. I had my eye on this pattern since it was released over the summer. I was just waiting because I couldn't decide what color I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do stripes, I just didn't know what color I wanted the stripes. And then Wool and the Gang released a limited edition self-striping Feeling Good yarn. And I just knew that I had to make my prep school pullover out of that. I love this sweater so much. I won't go on about it too long, but it has such cute little details. I did add in that elastic I was talking about last episode, so I feel like the collar is a little bit more where I want it to be, and yeah, I love this one. At the same time I was knitting this, I was also knitting my first pair of mittens. Oh wait, no. I was knitting my weekend hat by Petite Knit over Thanksgiving. I used Santa's Garn, Peer Gynt pink tweed for this, and then I had some left over, so I made matching mittens, which I finally have the second one of those done. Here's the mittens with the hat. I'm very excited to have this little set just in time for, we're about to have a cold snap here in Seattle next week. So yeah, perfect timing. And I also made several other pairs of these for Christmas gifts for my family. So my dad got a pair, my mom got a pair, my boyfriend's gonna get a pair eventually, and I heard that as I said it. My bad. Anyway, and then that brings us up to December, my last project of the year, which was my cardigan number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Side note, she is not size inclusive. That is very not good. I made this before I realized that, and I also bought another one of her patterns before I realized that, so that sucks. Anyway, I do really like this cardigan though. It's a raglan construction. I think the shaping is really nice. I used Drops Air and Drops Kid Silk Mohair. I saw somebody, I will try to remember who and tag them here. I saw somebody make a light blue cardigan number 8, and then I had a dream about it and I just needed it badly. And I couldn't do anything else until I made it. And I got some cute little tortoiseshell buttons for it. I'll try to show you. Just some cute. The buttons aren't entirely even, but I followed the ratio. I don't know what that's about. And then to go with this, I made this little matching headband. This I followed Starcross Knits double knit headband tutorial and made another one of these for my best friend as well. Hers is brown, left over from my weekending bomber actually. This is the matching set. I added a little mattress stitch contrast to pull in the brown from the buttons. And I think it's really cute. It's super warm actually. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Just a mountain of sweaters on my bed right now. I am going to do my 2024 ins and outs and then wrap up the video. But first, I just wanted to say I feel like this was kind of my year of learning. This sounds dramatic, but like who I am as a knitter. And every piece, like as I said, even if I don't love how it turned out, I learned a lot in the process, and that's always going to be more important. I'm excited to bring everything I learned into this new year. I've got a few projects on the needles right now that I'm really happy with, and I think it's going to be a really good year to keep learning and keep expanding my skills. So yeah, now we'll get into my ins and outs. I really like this trend. I think it's fun. I've really enjoyed reading everybody's. I've never really been a big resolution person. I find them very constricting and stress-inducing, unnecessarily stressful. So I've never really been into resolutions, but I do like this format of just deciding what you want to leave in the past, what you want to bring with you, and I think it's just fun to see everybody's thoughts. So we'll start with my ins. Taking your meds and your vitamins. If that's a thing you need to do and you haven't done it, go do that right now. I will wait. But yeah, super important. You gotta do that. Investigative documentaries, very in. They have to be well done though. Giving the benefit of the doubt. This is one I'm working on, and I think it's very important because I think people are usually good. Trust them until they give you a reason not to. Classic novels, very English major of me. Exercising for the right reasons. I'm sure this one's relatable for a lot of people, but I specifically fell into a pattern of exercising to make my body look a specific way for a long time in like 2019, pre-pandemic. That's just so unattainable long term. I really fell off because obviously pandemic, but then also I sort of reevaluated and like had a reckoning with myself about that. And yeah, I'm gonna start doing more yoga again and just try to exercise for fun. My boyfriend and I started playing tennis together last year. And I'm terrible, but it's really fun. More of that. Therapy. Goes without saying. Sherry, if you're watching this, I love you so much. Sherry is my therapist, and she is one of my favorite people on the planet. And therapy is such a privilege to be able to go to, and I am very privileged to be able to go to therapy, and not everybody has that same privilege, but if it's something you're able to do, I highly recommend. I think it's just, everybody needs therapy, especially after everything we've been through the last few years as a collective. It's been stressful. Getting safe sun. Getting sun is very important, but so is not getting skin cancer. Going for it. I think that's going to be one of my themes of the year. Matching knit garments with knit accessories, a la this bad boy. I just think it's so cute. I saw somebody put that in their outs, which is like totally fine, but I just think it's so cute. Wrist stretches. I've been having some wrist problems. My brother's a physical therapist and he's telling me to stop knitting for a while. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, so I'm gonna work on taking more breaks while I'm knitting and stretching my wrists more. Listening to records. I would love 2014 Tumblr Renaissance in that way. Comedic timing, I believe, is very important. Responding to emails in a timely fashion. I'm entering the workforce when I graduate here, so that's something I need to get better about immediately. And nuance. I think that's a big one. I think hearing people out is really important. Not excusing bad behavior by any means, but hearing people out and exchanging perspectives, I think, is really important. Okay, my outs. Overconsumption. We're not doing that anymore. Holding grudges. This one's very much so at me. Diet sodas are very out. One of my best friends is going to be very happy about this one. Diet sodas are terrible for you. They're so bad. And last summer I was drinking like a Diet Coke a day, and I've never been a soda person in my life until last summer, and I got hooked. So yeah, I'm working on switching over to Poppy and Olipop, but no more diet soda. Concerning yourself with other people's opinions. That's going to be another big theme of the year. Not doing that. Neons. I've never been a big neon guy. This year especially, I'm really liking the dark, moody, jewel tones, dark neutrals, I think are going to be really big this year. Looking at your phone while walking. So many people on my college campus do this every single day, and it drives me insane. They walk so slow, and then I pass them and I look over and their phone, like their face is just in their phone and they're just shuffling along. Like, in what universe is that a thing that we're doing? Please, please stop. I catch myself doing it too sometimes, like you need to switch a song on Spotify or whatever, but like, do it quick, put the phone away, keep walking. Should not be something I have to explain. And last but not least, basing your worth on grades. As I've said, I think 50 times, I'm graduating in March, and so I'm no longer gonna have that metric that I've kind of put a lot of pressure on myself about, being my grades. It's just not a sustainable way to base your self-worth. Basing it on your grades, I think that's a dangerous game, and has caused me a lot of unnecessary stress in my life. Like every finals week for a few years, I was going to urgent care, like on a cycle, because I got myself so worked up over finals and over my grades that I made myself physically ill. So yeah, stop doing that. If you're in college or high school or whatever, it's not that deep. Of course, try your best, but don't stress yourself out to the point of making yourself ill over school. So yeah, that is my 2024 ins and outs at the end of my everything I made in 2023 wrap up of knitting. Wow, really need to work on the outros here, but if you watched this long, once again, you get a gold star, and thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the progress I made over the year. So yeah, thank you, bye.